Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of our Kids Cooking Club. Your hair looks fine. We have just Ruby this week. Mike is at the beach. And we're going to make something that Ruby's been working on at home, which, you want to tell them what it is?
Angel food cake cupcakes.
Yeah, angel food cupcakes.
Frosting.
And we thought this is the perfect 4th of July dessert because it's kind of light and they're just fun to make. But they're harder than some of the things. So we have made a kit for y'all that takes some of the work out, and then you'll have a little of the work yourself. So the first thing that when you're making angel food cupcakes, if you've had angel food before, it's really light. And so the recipe calls for our sugar to be fine, what did it call it? Super fine sugar, which I never knew what that was, but you can just blend or pulse regular sugar into making it super fine. So we have put ours into our magic bullet, and you want to give it one more little, okay, there we go, sounds good. All right, so the first step of our recipe is to do that, and then Ruby, while you are measuring half a cup out into this half a cup measure, I'm going to start separating eggs. So one of the things angel food and a lot of other baking recipes call for us to use just egg whites. This is the half a cup measure. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to show you Ruby working on this technique of separating eggs yolks from whites. So what we're going to do is crack the egg and then try to use the half of the shell as almost like a cup. And you're just going to pour the yolk back and forth until you sort of get most of the yolk separated from most of the white. And you sometimes have a little bit of an accident. We'll hope that doesn't happen here today. But basically, I get to the point where I'm just tossing the yolk back and forth, and then at that point I'm going to take the yolk and just take it right out, and obviously throw away. And I'm wearing gloves just because I didn't want to have to stop and wash my hands. So Ruby, while I'm doing this, you want to explain what you're doing?
This is a 1/3 cup of sugar, and I'm just taking out half a cup.
It's 3/4. I think we started with 3/4 cups.
Yeah, 3/4 cups. And I'm just taking out half of the cup of it to save for step 3.
All right, and then what we're going to do with that remaining sugar that's still in our blender, this is where you're going to add, what's the next step? You're going to add
the flour and salt.
The flour, so I think the flour is in that little container. Yeah. Yeah. The nice thing, Lindley and I were talking about how much we don't enjoy having to measure things out. So at least we've done a little bit of that work for you, so you don't have to measure it out. And then this recipe calls for cream of tartar, which is one of those things that if you don't bake much, you're not going to have in your house. So Lindley went to a lot of grocery stores to find cream of tartar today. All right, so what about the salt? Don't forget the salt, right? You did? Okay, you did? Mm-hmm. No. All right, so we're adding, so another way that the reason that we're blending up flour and salt and sugar is, again, to add a little bit of air and lightness to those ingredients so that our angel food cupcakes are just as light and fluffy as air, just like angels. Yes, go ahead. Giving it some pulses. That's probably good. You can do that in a food processor, in a blender, or a magic bullet, anything like that you have around. And this egg separating, I would suggest, if you've not done it before and you want to practice, I would suggest doing it over a bowl and then adding that yolk, that white, into your big bowl, because otherwise if you get all the way through your 4 eggs, and then on the 5th one, you accidentally drop the yolk into the bowl, you have to start all over. You really don't want to have any yolk inside of the bowl. And another way some people like to do egg yolks is to just dump it in your hand and let the yolk come out. Sometimes I see people do that on
The water bottle
cooking
trick
shows.
too.
Oh, what's that?
You take a plastic water bottle and you suck it up and it just pops it right up.
Oh.
Yeah. And then you just have the egg whites.
Oh, well, that probably would have been fun
Yeah.
too. But anyway, that's a way to do it. And then we're going to save those yolks and we'll do something with them later. Maybe scramble them up and have a very rich omelet. Okay, so next step, Ruby, is
To whip the egg whites until they're white.
and I don't think that's plugged in because I had only those 2 plugs. Yep. And so here we've got just a bowl full of egg whites, and we're going to add the water. Where did that water go? Okay, so we've got a tablespoon of warm water.
No, I think we just whip eggs.
I think we add whip eggs, water, and cream of tartar. Is this exactly a
No.
tablespoon?
Yeah, but
Okay, we can go ahead and start. I'm going to add this up. Alright, so we're going to start whipping our whites, and we're going to add a tablespoon of warm water and our cream of tartar. Okay, go ahead. To be foamy at this point. So, this is the point where we get them foamy, and now we're going to add the sugar. And once we add the sugar, we're going to go ahead and whip them for quite a while. So we might do some fancy editing here. So we're going to add that half a cup of super fine sugar that we took out of the original 3/4 cup, and so we're going to dump that in. And then Ruby is going to whip that for a while, for probably 5 or 6 minutes until it gets firm peak. So we're gonna stop, let her do that because that's kind of boring, and then we'll come back. Look at those peaks. Okay, this is the desired level of peaks. So you want to whip until you get to that point. And now you're gonna add in your vanilla, then we're gonna whip it just a little bit more. It smells so good. Okay, give it a little bit more whip. Okay. Beautiful. All right, now, Ruby, this is where because we don't have a stand mixer, this is like a little bit of a 2-person job. All right, do you want to do the sifting or the folding?
Folding.
Okay. So I'll sift and you fold, and we've now got the flour, sugar, and salt that we aerated earlier, and now Ruby is going to fold these ingredients into our pretty white peaks. And now what you taught me this word that you macronache. Okay.
Technique of folding dry ingredients into wet ingredients.
Okay, so let's go ahead and macronache. If that's how do you think that's how you pronounce it? Macronache. Okay, so Ruby is that a good tool, or do you want this? Here, you want this instead? Here. Okay, so Ruby but save that because that's what we'll use to load up our cupcake. Okay. All right, so we're folding the flour, sugar, and salt mixture into the peaks. And why are we folding instead of blending, do you think? We don't know. That's the thing about baking, you just gotta follow the directions. We were saying before, at home I always if I think I'm gonna bake something, I get halfway through a project and realize I'm missing an essential ingredient, and you really can't substitute, can you?
Yes.
Well, you can, but it's always substitute applesauce for something or other, and that always sounds kind of gross to me. Ruby made me a beautiful birthday cake yesterday because it was my birthday, and that was quite a project, right?
Yeah.
Tell what you said about the about the icing. Was it the icing that you said
Yeah.
almost did you in?
Yeah, so I kept like icing the side, but then like a little part of the cake would be showing, and then more. So then I almost.
But it was perfect, and you made it purple. So one of the things that about these cupcakes, they're white, but if you wanted to be just a little bit extra, you could add food coloring and make them red, white, and blue if you wanted, right? Or pink, or whatever color you wanted. All right, we're getting there with this. All right, that's the last little bit of our flour mixture. All right, I won't do what I did last time. You got mad at me for dumping in the last little sifties, so I'll do that. Okay. All right, so it's not done, but it's almost done. And then we're gonna have our cupcakes with our liners, which we will send you with some cupcake liners, and you're gonna line your cupcake tin, which we're not sending you. You have to have your own cupcake tin. So if you don't have one of those, you really are baking 101 here. All right, so let's see. That's really nice and folded, macronached. I don't know if you say it like that.
That's how you say it.
Okay. So now you can't pour this batter because it's so fluffy, but see how fluffy that is? It's pretty different than regular, like any kind of cupcake batter. It's so light.
Just use like a tablespoon.
I don't think we have one of those. So I'm gonna very carefully give these cupcakes fill these cupcakes up. You're right that this would be a lot easier with a good spoon, like a big tablespoon. Here, you want to do the rest of this? All right. So Ruby's gonna fill those up, and tell us something. One thing that we noticed last time when we baked these is that they are a lot sticky. They're pretty sticky when you bake them. I mean, I think they were delicious, but they were stickier than you would think they're gonna be. Oh yeah, that's a good idea, Ruby. Use this to kind of scoop down, you know what I mean? Alright, and while Ruby's doing that, we're going to teach you guys how to make whipped cream. So we're sending you with 1 cup of heavy whipping cream and some sugar. And you can use, to make whipped cream, you can use regular sugar or powdered sugar.
Sugar's better though.
You like powdered sugar better? Well, we're sending people with regular sugar. Should we change that? We can do powdered. All right. Well,
sugar has cornstarch, which is better for whipping.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, for the moment, we're using regular sugar, but perhaps we will give you your choice. All right. So we've got a cup of whipped heavy cream, and then a 1/4 cup of, is that right? No, 2 tablespoons of sugar. And so we're just going to add those to the bowl. And then I'm going to be mixing those. In fact, I'm going to just use the same mixer beaters that I was doing before. So while you're doing that, I'm going to start whipping this. See you in a sec. Okay, in the time that we were away, we had a little baking fail. That was my fault. All right, so when you go to whipped cream, you have to be careful to not over whip it. So you put the heavy cream in and the sugar in, and then you stand there with the mixer and you watch it for how long do you think it normally takes? 5 or 6 minutes. Well, I got bored of doing that, and so I was like, I'm going to shortcut and I'm going to put it into the magic bullet. And Ruby told me not to, but I did it anyway. And what happens when you do that?
It pretty much, part of it just got over whipped, and it pretty much, not really, pretty much curded.
Curdles, yeah, which is how you make butter, FYI. So basically what happens is that when you over whip cream, it separates and you get something that's much thicker. Like this turns out to be like almost like a buttercream substance. And what you're left over with is like you have liquid separated, which here, that's the liquid that was in the bottom of the Vitamix. So essentially, over processing cream takes the water out and leaves only the fat behind. And so I think, for me, I actually think this was a big success because what we have is a much thicker, almost like a clotted cream, and it still tastes good.
Yes.
It's not like sour or anything, but it's not like whipped cream. And so in that way, Ruby, you were right. I was wrong. So anyway, we have our cupcakes in the oven, and they are puffing up. I don't know, Lindley, if you can get a little closer and see how pretty those look. But they are, I think they're going to be even better than the ones we made at home as our test case, don't you?
Not with cream.
Not with whipped cream. Not with the whipped cream I made. So anyway, they look beautiful. We're going to let them stay in there for 18 minutes. Which is another about 10 minutes, so we're not going to wait for that moment. But essentially, when they come out, you can ice them with your whipped cream that you made correctly. And then we are sending you home with some fruit and some sprinkles, so you can have fun. You want to make sure, one of the things that I am bad about too, you might start to sense a pattern, is that I don't like to wait. And so sometimes I start icing things when they're still hot. And what happens then, Ruby?
It just melts.
Right. Have y'all ever seen, one of our favorite shows is, what's that show called? Where
Nailed It.
And always, the people always start icing things before the cake is cool. So don't do that. Let your cupcakes completely melt, or completely cool on a rack. When they're completely cool, you're going to ice them with either your whipped cream or your delicious curdled whipped cream. And enjoy and celebrate and share with your family. So thanks, Ruby. Next time I'll listen to you. All right, bye.